The Trump administration totally gets tough on crime in cities where it's politically expedient. This is just another day. Ever since Donald Trump enacted his federal takeover of Washington, D.C., residents have expressed their displeasure in a myriad of ways. But there was one particular way that really stood out.
One man is now accused of assaulting a federal officer by hitting him with a hoagie.
My God, will the terror in our streets ever end? Well, after this incident, the Trump administration decided to drop the hammer on this hero.
He thought it was funny. Well, he doesn't think it's funny today because we charged him with a felony, assault on a police officer. And we're going to back the police to the hilt. So there, stick your Subway sandwich somewhere else.
Turns out this guy did stick his Subway sandwich somewhere else, specifically up Jeanine Pirro's ass.
Prosecutors in Washington, D.C. failed to secure a felony indictment from a grand jury against a man charged with assault for throwing a sandwich at a federal agent. A grand jury didn't consider Sean Dunn's viral act of protest against President Donald Trump's federal takeover of Washington worthy of felony assault charges.
Wow, that's so odd. I really imagine an administration that disregards crime stats in order to flood the streets with federal agents and military personnel to not overplay their hands. By the way, on today of all days, it is worth pointing out that the level of tough talk from Republicans about a man who fired a sandwich out of his hand is stronger than anything we have ever heard about men who fire guns from their hands. But maybe if we're lucky, we'll get some meaningful sandwich control legislation out of all of this. That is, unless it's too soon to even have that conversation. And speaking of Republicans overplaying their hands, remember Alligator Alcatraz, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' detention center in the Everglades? Well, it seems they may have gone a little too far with that one, too.
And that breaking news tonight, a judge has ordered the so-called Alligator Alcatraz to be shut down in 60 days, barring any more new detainees from being transferred there.
It is certainly a setback for the state and the federal government, this ruling that came down tonight. The judge issued her 82-page ruling just 3 hours before the deadline. And right now, the facility, according to her ruling, can remain open, but it is prohibiting any additional construction, and it is giving them 60 days to remove certain installations that were put there to support this project.
Prohibiting additional construction. Those are Donald Trump's 3 least favorite words since that one time he heard a doctor say, "It's a boy." But this is a huge blow to the Trump administration. This detention facility was deemed incredibly necessary by Trump and DHS and was hailed as a key component in their effort to crack down on unauthorized immigrants in our country. I wonder what's going to happen. I mean, isn't that place packed with detainees right now?
A top state official says the migrant detention center known as Alligator Alcatraz will likely be empty within a matter of days. This is according to an email obtained by ABC News and a message sent to a South Florida rabbi in regards to providing chaplaincy services at the facility. Florida Division of Emergency Management Executive Director Kevin Guthrie said, quote, "We are probably going to be down to 0 individuals within a few days."
Well, I guess that explains the rooms available sign. You know, for a man whose entire campaign was based on the premise that he would help Americans, he's doing a terrific job of screwing us over. The construction of Alligator Alcatraz cost the state of Florida $450 million. But not to worry, that money was actually going to get reimbursed by FEMA with our tax dollars. And a FEMA spokesperson even said, under President Trump's leadership, we are working at turbo speed on cost-effective and innovative ways to deliver on the American people's mandate for mass deportations of criminal illegal aliens. But there's a slight problem with that whole claim of cost-effectiveness. Representative Maxwell Frost, an Orlando Democrat, wrote in a legal declaration this week that when he visited the detention center on August 20th, state emergency management workers told him it was holding approximately 300 detainees. So if we could just do a little bit of math here, let's see, carry the 1. All right, divide by autocratic tendencies, and it looks like the price tag to satisfy Stephen Miller's fever dream is costing Americans $1.5 million per detainee, which makes this place less a detention facility and more a Mr. Beast challenge. And not only does Trump's math not add up, it's brazenly partisan. When Maryland's Democratic Governor Wes Moore submitted a request for reimbursement to FEMA for flood damage in his state, which was a fraction of what Florida is asking for Alligator Alcatraz, his request was denied without explanation. And for some reason, I feel like that slightly undermines this statement from Trump's inauguration.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier.
Peacemaker and unifier. I haven't seen two less applicable terms since Lauren Boebert called herself prude and sober. Donald Trump doesn't care about peace and unity because if he did, he wouldn't be denying disaster relief to blue states but approving it for red states. If Trump cared about peace and unity, he wouldn't be focusing all of his efforts on Democrat-led cities like Chicago and Los Angeles. He would focus on cities with the highest crime rates, which just so happen to be cities and states run by Republican governors. During the campaign, Trump promised to lower the cost of groceries, promised to lower the cost of housing, promised to lower the cost of healthcare, and promised that he'd never subject us to seeing his ankles if they somehow swelled up to an ungodly sight. Well, what do you know? His tariffs have raised the cost of groceries, and his legislation has kicked millions of people off of food assistance programs. He hasn't done a single thing to lower the cost of housing. Not only did healthcare not get cheaper, he kicked 17 million Americans off their health insurance. And lo and behold, now Donald Trump's ankles look like they're almost inflated enough to take part in the Macy's Day Parade. So instead of allocating federal dollars to provide relief to everyday Americans, which again was his promise, he's decided to allocate that money to putting more ICE agents on the streets and to reimbursing states that align with him politically. And the amount of money being poured into a facility like Alligator Alcatraz is no accident. It is being done because this administration needs to continually fuel the fight between white people and brown people. Those millions of dollars are being used in service of Trump's principal distraction, which is to make sure that Trump's white base stays good and scared of people of color, while they quietly hand themselves massive tax cuts behind the scenes. That's all Trump used his political capital on during his first term, and it was yet again his biggest legislative accomplishment this term. But he knows that so long as we're talking about crime and brown people and black people and how dangerous everybody is, then no one will pay attention to the people fucking all of us over at the top, the people who continue to consolidate more and more and more wealth while expecting us to be content with crumbs. The division in our country is the goal. It is to their benefit. And the more xenophobic and racist and freaked out our nation is, the more Trump can claim that only he can fix it.
I have the right to do anything I want to do. I'm the president of the United States. If I think our country is in danger, and it is in danger in these cities, I can do it.
Look, if there's one thing Trump understands, it's how to sell a terrible idea to people. He's already done it at least 3 times. Donald Trump's government is investing in the America he wants to see, a rich, white, Republican nation that hails him as their hero. And he knows that that investment is a hell of a lot more sellable to the American people when he gins up fake statistics on how bad crime is in blue states, when he cites dozens of fake examples of ever so grateful Americans showering ICE agents and National Guard troops with appreciation for cleaning up their war zone-esque town, and when he points to the red state detention facility whose only winning attribute is that it has alliteration in its name. But it's all a show to keep their grip on power and continue with their agenda of making sure the rich get richer while the rest of the country gets left behind. So they can bitch and moan all they want about one guy throwing a sandwich, but no one can compete with this administration when it comes to wasting bread. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.